again, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're doing a scenario in which Germany forms an empire in 2022. So here in Germany we have colored in red, and whoever they attack will be colored in blue. So first up is Luxembourg, and they last less than a day, as the Germans may not have the largest army, but they can definitely militarize with an insanely good economy and population. And another thing I should mention already is that with the declaration of war on Belgium and Luxembourg, NATO would have been activated, but in this scenario, NATO, the EU, the UN, none of those exist. Countries could technically help out other countries, but it is also in the favor of Germany, so yeah, if you're wondering how this is happening, that's why. But as I've been talking, they have taken over Belgium and are now pushing into the Netherlands. Rotterdam falls, Amsterdam does the same, and now a majority of the lowlands is under Germany's control. And if you're wondering why I said a majority, technically a tiny bit of it is in northern France. But honestly, the three main countries are Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. So now with all of that land under the control, a ton of population, and it's such a good economy, they declare war on Austria, push down and take some cities such as Salzburg. But in the end, Austria has one insanely major city, Vienna. The Germans push in and capture it. And with that, all of Austria begins to fall. Country is split into two, and they surrender. With that, Germany now has a very sizable military and an even larger economy, passing up Japan. But that will only grow as they declare war on Denmark. And while they begin a small push up the Danish peninsula, they start making some island hopping campaigns, capture Copenhagen, and Denmark falls. Also, yeah, those borders aren't pretty, but the map just saves like that, nothing I can do. So with that, Germany's going to go ahead and declare their next war, which is a declaration of war on the Czech Republic. German troops flood in from Austria, where they still had a lot of divisions from the last war. And although Czechia begins an advance into northern Germany, that's pushed out within a day. Prague is captured, and all of the Czech Republic begins to fall. Until eventually that happens, the country surrenders. And once again, Germany's just outright annexing all of these countries to grow their strength as much as they can, as fast as they can. With this, they now declare war on Slovenia, but one of their, I guess you could say, longtime rivals. Present day, it's not too bad, but it has been worse. That is Poland joining in against Germany. With that, German troops capture Bratislava, and they begin to flood into Slovakia, capturing a majority of the country. Meanwhile, Poland begins to push out from their border. Although this, Germany is insanely powerful, and I don't know why Poland would join in, as it just gives them less days to live. All of Slovakia falls, and Germany begins to flood into southern Poland from their Slovakian outholds. They capture Warsaw and a good portion of the country. Meanwhile, they begin to push in on all fronts. To capitulate Poland as soon as possible, they begin to push down the Polish coastline until it's all captured. And at this point, the Polish country won't last much longer, as, Poland is dead. With that, the country surrenders, and this is actually going to be the first peace treaty I have to draw in, with Germany not fully annexing the country. With that, they take a good portion of Poland, about what their old lands used to look like, and they puppet all of Slovakia along with what's left of Poland, which basically just means they are their puppet state, their client state. They can tell them to do whatever they want. The government is under German rule. It's just not German land. With that, Germany now has themselves a very, very sizable country, controlling a good part of Central and a bit of Eastern Europe. But why not expand even more? And they do this by declaring war on Slovenia, which honestly is not going to be a very difficult war for them. They send down their military. The country wouldn't last very long. Slovenia is annexed, and Germany now has access to the Mediterranean. And for Europe, their second to last war, I believe, is a declaration of war on Sweden and on Norway. They do this purely in the name of expansionism, make landing in Sweden, they capture Oslo within a couple weeks. They begin to push up the Norwegian coast and around the Swedish coast until eventually the Battle of Stockholm happens, which ends in a German victory. With that, all of southern Sweden and Norway fall to Germany, and both countries surrender. Although Germany will not be annexing them, there will be a peace treaty in which a good portion of both countries fall, and they are united in the name of not dying, I guess you could say. As without uniting, both countries would be too weak to survive. Honestly, they might still be too weak. This land looks like a lot, but honestly, it's not very powerful land. They might have to unite with Finland. But for now, just those two. They are also turned into a puppet/client state of Germany as well. With all this newfound land, they actually decide to make a purchase, as they don't want to go to war with Russia, so they just decide to buy Kaliningrad to gain back even more of their old German imperial lands. And with that, I wouldn't say Russia's their ally, but they aren't the worst of enemies, so take that any way you want. But Russia's not at war with Germany, and Germany now holds Kaliningrad. With that, Germany's European holdings are almost finished, but there's one more war, and that's an old fight that they never won. It took 2 world wars, but now that the German Empire is ready, they are ready to get their revenge, and they do this by declaring war on France, who in real life is stronger than them, but in this scenario, Germany is much, much more powerful, and they begin their invasion. They put so many troops into northern France that Paris is captured within a couple weeks. And honestly, France here, they're not going to last very long. With all of the north of the country falling within 2 months, and the rest of it not being strong enough to survive, especially not after the Germans push down the entire Atlantic coast and begin to push into the Alsace-Lorraine region. With that, the country surrenders, and Germany makes up another peace treaty. Let's see if you can recognize it. Can you recognize the peace treaty? Yes, it's literally just Vichy France and German France as it was in World War II. But honestly, I really like those German borders. They looked so clean. So we're going to bring them back in this German Empire video. With that, Germany controls a majority of Europe, but actually, I lied. There's going to be one more war, and that's a declaration of war on the UK. With that, they get Ireland to join in. Northern Ireland falls. A landing is made near Cornwall in southern England. Wales falls. All of Scotland rebels against the UK. And honestly, in real life, they seem pretty powerful, but against this new German Empire, they fall within a few weeks. With that, Germany annexes all of England and Wales, while Scotland is given independence and Northern Ireland is given to Ireland, as I guess you could say compensation for their help in the war effort. With that, Germany is now done in Europe with a very nice amount of land. And where do they go next? Well, they never had much land in Africa, but they did have a bit, and they want that land back. They declare war on Namibia and begin their landing in the north of the country. They quickly push down the coast, and honestly, it may look like they don't have much land, but by week 2, Namibia's fallen. They then continue this by declaring war on Botswana, wanting to expand their colonial holdings in Africa. They take a good portion of the country until eventually it loses all hope, as these African nations won't last long, and a lot of them just decide to submit to Germany quietly. None of these guys can really fight them, so Zimbabwe and Zambia are both declared war on, and they both just decide to surrender. Not entirely peacefully, but yeah, the countries don't really decide to fight it, as they would just lose more men and more infrastructure, which they already don't have enough of. With that, Germany has a decently sized colony, but why not grow it even more until eventually all of East Africa joins in. Germany's maybe hardest challenge, maybe that was France, but this is definitely a fight and a half. And yeah, it's only going to get harder, with the majority of Africa, well, a good portion of Africa joining in against Germany, and nobody daring join on their side. With that, the blue team begins to push into Zambia, whilst the red team cuts off southern Mozambique and takes a tiny bit of their land. They capture the south and begin to push up north. Malawi isn't going to last very long as the country begins to fall. Slowly but surely, the country falls, and Mozambique is quick to surrender after. With that, German troops begin to flood into Tanzania, capturing the southern countryside, while pushing up to Lake Victoria. They do this successfully and cut the blue team in two. With this, Tanzania surrenders. Burundi and Rwanda last a couple days. The blue team retreats out of Zambia. And now the red team is just being able to begin its full operation into the blue team. Oh my god. Angola agrees to a German peace term in which they gain this little panhandle of Angolas. And they begin to push out of there too, as they already had their ships pretty much outside of this region. And honestly, that was a genius move by the Germans, as the blue team didn't see it coming. And they now begin to, blitzkrieg their way across the DRC to attempt to reconnect with their other side. This goes very successfully as the country is split into two. And that's not very good, with Uganda and Kenya not standing a chance against Germany. The blue team overall opts to surrender. With that, Germany just decides, hey, we won this war, we want our land, and they annex every single country involved. Not a single country is spared. Nobody's given even partial sovereignty. This is all just Germany now. Nothing else, all just Germany. Which normally wouldn't be a good idea, but it has so much control over the region. The German, I guess it's a dictatorship, like with all my empires, but it does not care. It is annexing all these countries, and that was pretty much its last move. So let's finish drawing this in. Okay, so they continue to draw this in, and let's just wrap it up with Germany gaining their last bit of land in Africa. And overall, this might make them the largest country, might make them number 2 or 3, but they're definitely up there. At least ahead of Brazil, ahead of Australia, ahead of India for sure. But yeah, Germany is now massive, and with all of this land in Africa, massively populated country. So yeah, let's wrap it up. And I think that pretty much, gives this empire a nice ending with a huge colonial body in Africa, a good portion of land, of economic land in Europe. This is one of the most powerful countries in the world and is extremely influential now. So I do hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.